So let's take a look at what this session contains. All right. So, starting off with time management. Okay. So what happens is we think about making some decisions. We think about achieving some kind of a dream, right? So when you talk about it, it is still a dream, right? When you start discussing it with people, when you start visualizing it, then it becomes possible, right? First you need to have that dream, first you need to talk about it, first you need to talk with your peers, visualize it, and then you will understand that it is becoming possible. It will become possible and it will become successful only when you plan and execute it, right? Then it becomes real. So first you need to have a dream, then you have to visualize it, make sure that it can be reached, it's possible. Then you plan and execute it, right? That's when it becomes real. So for all this, you require to have the essential skills of time management. That is the differentiator here, because everyone has the same 24 hours with them, right? So how you uh, focus on your 24 hours, where do you spend most of your time, that's what will decide whether your dream is coming true or not. Okay. So with this, I'll go ahead to the next screen. So as I was saying, everyone has the same 24 hours. So how you work on them, what kind of a task you focus on, that will decide what kinds of dreams come true. Okay. So that's where we go until here. So we start off with a first technique, which is called as the 3B technique. Okay. So we'll be having several tasks throughout the day. We'll be getting thousands of people coming up asking us to do something. You have some your own personal tasks that you have to do, professional tasks. Yes. So how do you ensure that all these tasks get complete in the most efficient way, and how do they finish quick so that you have time for other tasks as well? All right. So this is one technique, that is 3B technique. Okay. So what is this? Let us take a look at. So the 3Bs start off first with bunching. Okay. So bunching is nothing but, like, if you remember bunch of straws or bunch of sticks, that's how we call it, right? Basically bunching similar things together, right? So bunching tech in 3B technique includes putting together activities which are similar, or activities that can be done one after the other. Okay. Where you do not have to break your flow and concentrate on a new activity, a difficult one, not alternating between difficult and easy activities. So by bunching together, by bunching the activities together, what you can do is quickly finish up those tasks or activities, right? Because they are similar, they use the same kind of the brain's focus, and they are also pretty much easy to medium, or let's say even if they are hard, they are of the same what do you say, characteristic or feature. Okay. So let's say you brush in the morning, right? You brush, you go wear your shirt, you come back again, you take a bath, you go wear your pants, right? Then you again go inside, you wash your face, then you go wear your socks and shoes. So this is not bunching, right? Obviously, and too hilarious to watch as well. Okay. But bunching will be one, brushing, washing your face, having a bath, all together in one, and then coming out, wearing your shirt, your pants, your what do you say, shoes. So that's what will be called as bunching similar activities together to make it quicker, or to even out your focus as well, so that you do not have to engage your brain in very complex activities, right? uh, because this to and fro will take up a lot of time, take up a lot of your focus as well, right? So that's first one is bunching, make keeping the activities that are similar together, okay, to save on your time and ensure that they quickly get finished. The next B is budgeting, right? So this B almost all of us have done throughout our life, right? So we budget a certain time duration for each activity. So many of us, especially during our school days, we used to talk about, I'll get up in the morning, I'll start studying at 5 o'clock, I'll study till 5:36, then I'll get ready and go to school and give the examination. So that is budgeting. Throughout your day, you are mentioning or you're budgeting your time so that each of the tasks that are required to be done, they are done in that time and exactly start at that time and end at that time, right? So that is budgeting, right? Most of us also do this in case of our money, right? So I budget like if I get 50,000, 15 of it will go into rent, 10,000 will go into, what do you say, electricity, maintenance, and all of that things. Okay. And then some of it will go into entertainment. This percentage will go into investment. So that is time budget, money budgeting. This we are talking about time budgeting, right? So during the whole day, as we discussed, everyone has the same 24 hours. So most of us spend, let's say, around 7 to 8 hours sleeping, right? And 8 to 9 hours working, if you're lucky. The remaining 8 hours that you have, that needs to be budgeted, that needs to be ensured that where you want to be in the future, whatever you do during these 8 hours, that will be affecting it. Okay. So that's the importance of budgeting. Next, the third B, which we come to after bunching and budgeting, it is buffering. Okay. So during your whole day, obviously you will be budgeting your time. You will be ensuring that the certain task gets completed in a certain amount of time, or begins at a certain time, or ends at a certain time. But also during these activities, you need to keep a buffer. Okay. So there might be times, especially this you see in this example you will be seeing in a creative world, where if a person is engaged into some kind of a creative activity or a creation, he or she, once they start get into the mood, they will keep on producing and they will keep on creating more and better things, right? So in that case, if there arises that there was 1 hour allotted to it, and now I cannot further move into the same, or I cannot focus on the same activity. Now I'll have to move to another activity. That will not work, right? Sometimes your activities, which would have only been 1 hour, they extend over to 1.5 hours, right? So in that case, you need to keep buffers between each of these activities so that there is a cool down or small amount of a cool down or a rest after that activity, and then the new activity starts, because it might be possible that after bunching, after budgeting, there might be a certain different skill sets or different part of your brain gets activated with the next activity that you have to do. So for that, you need to prepare yourself, right? So obviously you need to keep a small buffer in between these activities, and ensuring that using this technique well will free out much more of your time during the day, right? To speak very practically, and in other ways as well, wherever you can apply it, do try it out. Bunching similar activities, budgeting the activities so that they begin at the right time and the duration of those activities, and keeping buffer between the activities so that there is no back-to-back things. You ensure you get into that process very well and ready. So after the 3B techniques, let us move on to another this is 5D techniques. Okay. So another concept that I'm going to introduce here, starting off with delete. Okay. So the 5B technique, the 3B technique talks about the tasks you have to do, right? And you have to do it anyway. So you will bunch it, you will, what do you say? You will bunch it, you will budget it, and you will buffer it. Okay. But here you are going one step further as well. Okay. Not all tasks that come to you need to be done by you, right? There might be some tasks that are, maybe meant for someone else. So if they are not relevant to you, okay, to free up your time, you can apply these 5D techniques. Okay. So starting off with delete. If the task, it can be personal or it can be professional. If the task is not relevant to you, if the task is not meant to be done by you, or even let's say it's not going to affect your future in any way, that task can be deleted. Okay. Simple. If it is not going to affect you or yourself in the future, this task can be deleted right off. Okay. Not need to do it. Why? Because there are many such tasks that we undertake because just we cannot say no, and those tasks end up taking up a lot of our time, where the important things that we have do not get accomplished, and these tasks do get accomplished after a lot of pain, but they are not going to affect our long-term growth, not even the short-term growth. Okay. So such tasks can be deleted. Okay. You do not need to focus on them. You need to basically find out all the tasks in your day and then put them under one of these tabs. So delete is the first tab. Whichever tasks you think are not good for you, or let's say not going to affect you, you can delete them because they should not be done by you, right? It will help free up a lot of time. Next, discipline. So discipline is required to apply any of these techniques. Make sure that you are on track. Okay. To put them under this tab is different. To work on it, as in really not do that task or apply the other D's of this technique as well, requires a lot of willpower and discipline, right? Which are the others? Let us see them one by one, right? So first one we saw is delete. Second one, that is discipline, to ensure that you remain on your focus all the time. Third one is delay. Okay. So if there are such tasks which are not priority right now, they can be done later, or they need not be done right now as an emergency, those tasks can be delayed. Okay. They can be done sometime later. Okay. So if not required to do right now, they can be delayed so that the urgent works come first, the priority come first, and then come the other things that not that important, maybe not that urgent, maybe important. Okay. So you can delay that. Next, most important one, delegate. So delegate is one of the things that most managers need to do, but sometimes end up ignoring and doing all the tasks themselves. So it is quite important, but very hardly paid attention to. how to properly delegate, right? So it can be by a manager to a subordinate, it can be from a teammate, or it can be cross teams as well. What is the meaning of this, or when do you delegate a task? If you think that this task can be well done by another colleague, by another team, or this task is meant to be done by that team. Okay. So for example, a salesperson does not need to calculate MIS daily, right? So we have a separate MIS team for it. Okay. But some people do, take the matters into their own hands, and after doing sales, they also keep track of MIS. They also analyze the MIS and then they present it to their manager. Rather than if they would delegate the, I would not say authority, because the authority really keeps with the manager. Why not delegate this task to the MIS team so that you get the information and the analysis from there, which will save a lot of your time, open up your bandwidth for more sales purposes, right? So this task might be not in your KRA, or it might be better done off by another team or by another team member. So in those places, delegate the task. Okay, people find it very problematic to delegate or give tasks to someone else because they first feel guilty about it. Second, they think that they can do it better, right? The third thing will be that there is that hesitancy to ask someone to do that job. All right. So that is the biggest issue while people try to delegate, but it can be done, it should be done, it saves a lot of time, and it will also help you understand how much free time you will try to how much time it will free up in your day, so that you do not keep on focusing on some tasks, right? Especially as a manager, if you delegate some of the tasks to your teams, it will free up your time to take up bigger, better calls, or focus on the top 20% that is bringing in the business, right? Next, the last one, that is do it. So if this task is urgent, cannot be avoided, it's important as well, do it. Okay. It cannot be delayed, it cannot be deleted, it cannot be delegated to someone else. You have to do it, right? So ensure that you have that discipline and do the task, right? This is the 5D technique. So throughout the day, please do go through your activities, your tasks, put them in either of or one of these options, and accordingly do the instruction. That is, if you think those tasks can be done later, delay them until you complete the important ones. Delegate them if you want them to be done right now, but you cannot be the one to do it. Someone else can do it better or on your behalf. And deleting the unnecessary tasks will help you free a lot of time for the task that you have to do it, the task that you do have to do now. Okay. That's the 5D techniques. So now, while talking about these 5D techniques, I talked about the urgent and important, what is urgent for you, what is important for you. Likewise, we have an important matrix that I want to talk to you about. All right. So this is known as the urgent important matrix. Okay. This will help you classify where your tasks lie, and accordingly, you can either delete it, delay it, delegate it, do it right now. Okay. So let's see what this matrix is all about. So this is known as the urgent important matrix. On the vertical scale, there is not important and important. Okay. On the horizontal scale, it is urgent and not urgent. So the first quadrant that you're going to talk about is the green quadrant, and all your crisis and pressing problems are going to be in this quadrant, which is important and urgent, both. So it is important, that means you cannot avoid it. It has to be done. And it is urgent. It means it has to be done right now. Okay. Next, we have the third quadrant, that is the yellow one. It is considering all the activities that are not important, but they are urgent. Okay. So you must be thinking of such activities. Some examples of them are interruptions, or phone calls with family, phone calls with friends, right? Having a small tea break, coffee break. These are all interruptions. These are all calls. They are not important. They are urgent. They have to be done, right? So that comes, all such kind of similar activities come under this third quadrant. Okay. So what can you do in such a way? You can probably delay them, right? You can ask whether the topic or whatever you have to discuss, if it's a call, you can say, if it is not an important call, why not we talk at the end of the day after my work is done? If you're getting interrupted, you can find a room, you can sit inside, ask the other people to not interrupt until you finish your important pressing problem, right? That can be done. Then there is this fourth quadrant, which is not important, not urgent. These are all the trivial and waste activities that are there in our life, right? But we find great amusement in doing those activities. We like to do them, like so surfing through the internet, Facebook, Instagram, all of it, right? All of them come under the trivial and waste quadrant, which is there, because these activities will not be of any issue or not be of any help either to us, right? But obviously we cannot cut down on them completely, but our goal will be to reduce the not important, not urgent tasks, so that there is more space for the important tasks. Finally, the most important quadrant. It is called the crucial and most important quadrant. Why? Because such activities are there here. Crucial and most important. So what can be these activities? They are very important, but they are not urgent right now. You do not have to do them right now. Okay. A great example of them will be health, right? You do not have to get up and start working out or do 100 push-ups right now. But yes, if you have to maintain your health, so maybe in the evening you can do 50 push-ups. Maybe tomorrow you can do 50 squats, right? It is not urgent. It's not to be done right now by cutting this call, but it is very crucial that you maintain your health, maintain your lifestyle. Yes. So that is one example. You might be having several of such examples, right? In the crucial and most important quadrant. But what do people normally do? Okay. We start off with managing these problems. We need to avoid interruptions and calls. We need to limit trivial and waste activities and focus on the crucial and most important quadrant or the activities. Why? Because what all activities are there in this blue quadrant, they will what be that shape our future. Okay. But what do normally people do? They focus on the first quadrant, where they have to manage crisis, they have to manage problems. Obviously, everyone has to do it. So 50% of your activity or your time or your effort goes in here. Then when you are working on some activity, there are many interruptions. There are calls from family, from professionals, interruptions by your colleagues, friends, whoever. Okay, so there around 30% of your time and effort will be going. Then you also find time to surf Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we keep on cycling between these apps. And there are many other things that can be trivial, which are not important, not urgent, especially when there are crisis or pressing problems. Okay, so 20% done. So when you make the total, it is 100%. So 100% of your time goes into these activities. So that's why you hear many people say, I am these days not able to go to the gym because I don't find time, right? I am unable to come do my hobby. I am unable to cycle. I used to like painting. I used to play music, but I'm unable to do them. Why? Because I didn't manage my time right. Okay, I didn't manage what is important. I didn't manage what is urgent. So how it should be ideally, right? We saw this 50, 30, 20 and 0 for the second quadrant. How do we make it better? The crisis and pressing problems will remain the same. If you finish one, another problem will arise. Okay. And just saying generally, most of these problems will not have an effect on your future, apart from the experience that you gain. Okay, because they are in the moment, that time you complete them, another problem comes along. Okay, this will never get finished. So 50% you have to give here. You can reduce your interruptions and calls. Where people are interrupting you, you can reduce that. Where someone is calling you, you can ask them to call back later when you're focusing on one job. Okay, you can delay it, you can avoid it for a further time. You can also reduce your trivial and waste activities from 20 to 10, 20% to 10% by limiting it. Obviously, you cannot make it go down to 0. If you do that, great. But, normally it is, a little bit of enjoyment is all right. So you can surely take some break off or some time off, do some, take a rest. And that time you can focus on this. But you need to limit it. You cannot let it go out of control, because when it does, then you will not have time for other crucial things. So we took out 15% from the yellow quadrant. We took out 10% from the gray quadrant. Where will we add it? We will add it in the fourth quadrant. That is the blue one. We'll add 25% of our time to the crucial and most important activities. Okay. What can those be? Like I said, one can be health. Second can be learning a new skill, upgrading your knowledge, right? Spending time with your family. All these can be crucial tasks or activities. Very important, not urgent. They do not have to be done right now, but they have to be done on a regular basis, right? So that's how we can, try to manage our time by limiting or avoiding some unnecessary things that we do and trying focusing on the more critical or important activities. Okay, so that's all what the urgent and important matrix is all about. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about the blue quadrant, that is a crucial and important activities, right? They are important, but they are not urgent, right? So the 25% that we took out from the other quadrants, we added them here. What can we do with that? We can focus on our top 20 contributing clients. Most of us have understood about the Pareto analysis, right? So where it says that 20% makes the 80% of the effect. The other 80% will make only 20% of the effect. So going by the same, 20% of your clients will be contributing 80% of your business, right? And these will be the top end clients. and the remaining 80% of the clients will be contributing 20% of the business. Okay, so your job will be to focus more on these top 20 contributing clients rather than the other 80% who are not getting you business, but they are taking up a lot amount of time, right? So they should be the part of your crucial and most important quadrant. HNI clients, again, top prospective clients, they all should be part of your quadrant blue, where these these clients will be the biggest chunk of business that can come to you if you focus on them, right? New client acquisition, prospective clients, and there are some non-conventional methods as well that you must have seen when, if you have attended earlier sessions about vision, about Vision 2028, which we had discussed in the earlier sessions, right? So some new approaches, new methods can be part of this quadrant, where people do tend to keeping them, postponing them, right? Like Instagram marketing, like YouTube, like LinkedIn. So all these things can be included here. Learning new skills, learning, doing certifications, right? Improving yourself. All those come under this blue quadrant. Okay. So they are very important. They are not urgent, but they have to be done nevertheless. Focus at least 25% of your time here, which will help you. This is the quadrant that will make you successful in the future, right? So you need to focus a good amount of time here. Missed activities which can be there in this quadrant, which need to be focused on: acquiring knowledge, acquiring certifications, very much important for your future and for your education. Then we have social media marketing. So this is the unconventional approaches that you need to inculcate. Sometimes there is a delay in these activities, because maybe you are not ready for it, maybe you do not have the right guidance for it, but it can be done. It can be focused upon trying to get more information about these social media marketing activities that can help. Then client data analysis. So we say data is the new gold. So client data will obviously matter when clients, you are going to meet them, you're going to talk to them, you want to pitch them about products. So a lot of data needs to be taken into consideration while making such suggestions or any kind of recommendations to the client. So very much important. And any process or any sales call or an appointment, you need to be ready beforehand. Hence the client data analysis. If you are prepared on your own earlier, and then it will be a better, you will be able to talk about better things when you meet the person. Creating a vision plan. Obviously, it is not urgent. It's not required to be done right now, but it is very important, right? If you own a business, if you have a goal in life, if you have a vision in life, it needs to be imagined, it needs to be dreamt of, and it needs to be written down in words, right? And you have to create a plan around it, saying, let's say, by 2 years, I'll be at this stage, this phase. By 5 years, I'll be at this phase. By 10 years, I will be at this phase and achieve my dream. So that needs to be planned, right? But what happens? These are all the activities that are there in the quadrant 2. Normally what happens? These tend to get ignored while focusing on the first quadrant, that is the problems, the crisis, and the other two, which we saw, which can be avoided, which can be limited. So all these are Q2 activities If you have any other Q2 activities which are very much important but not urgent, but they are going to affect your life big time. So after this, urgent important matrix, let us move ahead to the 10 habits for effective time management. Okay, so let's take a look at them. All of the things we covered throughout this session, you will find them in form of one of these habits here. Okay, all the keywords that we have discussed. So let's start. First one, prioritize. So you need to take, when you get a task on your hand, do not immediately say yes, okay, and start doing it. Okay, look at the task, analyze it, see whether it is yours to be done. Is it an important one, or it's not going to affect you at all? Depending on that, you will be deleting it, delegating it, or doing it, delaying it, right? And looking at the importance and urgency of the task, you need to prioritize it. You might get 2 important tasks, you might get 3 urgent tasks, right? And you have to prioritize those tasks according to whichever is the most biggest concern. Okay. Once you start understanding this skill of prioritizing, then you will see that your crisis starts getting lesser and lesser. The problems start becoming milder and milder. Okay, why? Because if we do not prioritize well, then those are the tasks that become more difficult, more complex, and they tend to be even highly escalated. Okay, so prioritizing, when you prioritize, all the important stuff gets done, right? So if you want to go have a chat over a coffee with your friend, if you want to go through Instagram, if you have a task given by your manager to be done right now, okay, and you want to go to the gym, so you need to start prioritizing them. Firstly, the task given by the manager needs to be done during working hours. Then you can talk about a little bit of a break. That's where you can go for your coffee. The second thing, the Instagram or Facebook, you want to surf through it, you can do that for 5-10 minutes during the break. Then at the end of the day, once you are done with your job, you can go to the gym, right? So that's how you prioritize. You cannot do it in the other way around. Okay, you cannot go to your friend for a break, then go to the gym, then come back and do your important task, which has to be done in 2 hours, right? So that's the importance of prioritizing. Next, learning the art of delegation. Yes, so like we had discussed earlier, delegation is what most people do not do, because let's say they do not have the confidence in their teams that they can do it as well, nor they want to give away responsibility. They confuse responsibility with authority. If they give away the tasks, they feel they are giving away authority, right? So that's why people tend to not delegate work, especially managers. So great visual that I'll show you is this. Some managers are running out of time while their subordinates are running out of work. So you can see that there is this king and queen who are painting the roads. Okay, just because he or she is a king or a queen, they are owning the whole area, right? So they're owning the roads, but it doesn't mean that everything has to be done by them, right? Right from the making the road and painting it. And it shouldn't be the other way around as well, that the manager has delegated everything to the other people and has nothing left to do right now. Okay, it cannot be either of the way. It can be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so it has to be, just by going by the first example, in the picture you can see the king painting the roads, right? The roads should be made by the right people. That task should be delegated, but the king should be there to preside over it and monitor it, whether it is being done proper way. Okay, he or she cannot go back and relax on the armchair thinking I'm done. Okay, so this is the great example of delegation. Okay, you have to delegate some authorities, some responsibilities to people. Managing interruptions, right? So maybe putting your phone on silent, maybe asking your friends and family to not call you during working hours unless it is very urgent. Okay, so if it is just a normal conversation to be had, that can be done at the end of the day as well, in the evening. Do not disturb. These signs can be hanged outside your, let's say, job area or work area, right? So that people do not disturb you, especially when you're working on something. If you are in a room, this can be hanged outside it, so that the flow of doing the work does not break, right? So this is how you manage your interruptions. Learning to say no, so very important. Normally people have a difficult time saying no. They say, let's see, maybe, or I'll tell you, or whatever. If it is not yours to be done, or even if you cannot do it, maybe you're going to take a lot of time. If you are already into something, you can say no. Okay, it is not a popularity contest. If you say no, nobody is going to harm you. You have to find out whether these tasks can be done or can be delegated to someone else or cannot be done right now. Okay, softly, smilingly, you can say no. Okay, so that's a very important thing you can learn, very important skill. You're not in a popularity contest. Nobody is going to penalize you for saying no, right? What happens? You say yes, then if you do have a lot of things on your plate already, you might end up being late to this task. Okay, and then the person will think that you are not doing your work. That can be a big problem. Okay, so that's just one case, but yes, you have to learn to say no wherever necessary. Then obviously doing the planning, we have several things, several gadgets now to do a daily, weekly, monthly planning. It will help in smoothly carrying out all our tasks at the right time. Okay, it will help us with the reminders so that we do not miss out on any tasks. It will help us prepare for the task in advance. Okay, if we know when these activities have to be done. And for obviously the fifth D that we were, sorry, the D that we were talking about, that is discipline. Planning or scheduling is the most important part of that discipline. Okay, and adhering to it. So one question here, when should you plan your Monday and Sunday night? Yes. So if you plan your Sunday night on the Sunday night, your Monday mornings will be much more smoother and you will not miss out on any tasks on the Sunday. Focus on self-development. So this is the second quadrant which you are talking about. Okay. Can you guys tell me what is there here on the screen which just appeared? A coffin. Yes. So what happens? A person studies for let's say 20, 21 years, starts a job, and after that for the next at least 40 years, he or she will keep on working. He or she will be much more into the crisis and problem areas rather than self-development. So these are somewhat like vertical coffins where the proverb comes from, that is died at 24, buried at 72. That means throughout his or her life, the person had already died at 24 because there was no self growth. There was no self-development, no time with family, no other hobbies. So the person had already died at 24. He or she was just a machine who was working for money. But after some time, the machine got tired and finally was buried at 72, right? So this shouldn't be the case with anyone. So ensure that you're focusing on self-development. Ensure that you are focusing on work-life balance. Allocate time for personal development, reading books, having a hobby. I think most of us discussed about those things. Okay. Maintaining the work-life balance, very much important. Only one is not important. Only family, obviously important, but you obviously need to work as well to keep your family secure and well funded. The same way, only work is important, but only work will not work for you, right? Family might, start having problems. All of those things will arise if you do not maintain this balance between these two things. Okay. Hobbies that keep you alive, like gardening, music, painting, cooking. There'll be again singing, and finally playing any instruments. So hobbies will keep you alive, especially after your work day. Maybe your mood is not that great. If you connect to any of these activities, you might be having your own hobbies. Someone might like to read, someone might like to go for a drive, whatever. That's a good way to keep touch with your inner self. It will help you keep grounded. It will help you take break from the daily monotonies. Okay. It will help in your building as a individual. So very much in the Q2 quadrant. So I hope when we are talking about this here, everyone has thought about their own hobby. Maybe you did it earlier, maybe you are even doing it. So do ensure you keep a certain amount of time daily to do at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day as your hobby. Okay. It has amazing benefits when you're looking at it from a point of view of a long term and personality development. Next, before, we discussed a lot about hobbies, we discussed a lot about Q2, right? And I hope you will be doing this. Next, we are going to talk about a story. Okay. So we talked about prioritization. We talked about how the things that need to be done, you might delay some things, you might delegate some things. So here we're going to first talk about a story, and then I'll tell you the moral of that story. Okay. So this story is about a frog. Okay. So this frog, as you can see, is in a utensil filled with water. So this water and the frog was both at room temperature. So the frog was also relaxing. Okay. Then someone started a fire beneath the utensil. So now the water started getting a little bit warm. So the frog thought that it's only warm. It's not a problem as of now. Okay. I was there in cold all throughout this time. Now it is getting a little warm. That's good for me. Okay. It's not any problem right now. So it kept staying in this utensil. When the heat started going up, the frog started using, we have that quality as well, that once you get into a warm environment, your body starts getting acclimatized to that environment. So the frog also started getting, comfortable in this warm, and which is becoming slowly and slowly hot. Okay. Finally, when the water got very hot, Now the frog had alarm bells ringing in its mind. Now this frog wanted to jump out. Okay, it tried jumping out. The vessel was very hot. It had already used up much of its energy while trying to be in that hot atmosphere. Okay, so now this frog could not jump out of this hostile or danger environment. Okay, so now you know what happened. So the same way, each one of us are also in many hostile environments. Okay, we try to make ourselves feel better because it is not life endangering yet. Okay, it is not a urgent issue. It is not, we are not in danger yet. That's why we keep on staying in that warm water, even though it is a slightly uncomfortable. Okay, why? Because we think that we still have time. We think that we can take action later. We think we can do it. All right, but it is very much important to see if the action that has to be taken, it has to be taken now. Okay, many people do procrastination, right? So that can be one of the biggest problems. It can lead to irreversible changes or damages, like what happened to the frog. This frog kept on procrastinating. The frog felt that it's not currently in a dangerous situation. Okay, earlier it could have directly jumped off and went. It would have been easy. But because of staying in that warm condition, you lose your energy. Because of using up your energy to maintain that heat, and then you will not have the energy to jump out. Then it will be an irreversible problem that you have. Okay, so if you have to take action, take the action at right time. Do not procrastinate it. Delaying activity is very different, but procrastinating what needs to be done, especially you can talk about the quadrant 2 activities like health. If you think daily you have a knee that is paining, you need to start working on it from the first day itself. You cannot wait till one day the knee pain starts getting too much and then you have to directly visit the doctor. And they might tell you it might be irreversible. That can be a big problem. You need to start working on it, or you take the action as early as required. Okay, so that's the moral of story. No procrastination. Okay, so procrastination is the root cause of all disasters. So if someone had taken the right decision or the action earlier, a disaster can be avoided. Act while you still can. Okay, so finally coming to the last habit, that is do not quit. So winners never quit, quitters never win. So if you have set up your mind on a task, if you have a dream in your mind, obviously you will have to work towards those. You have to maintain your time well, manage your time well, and ensure that you're doing all those activities that you require to reach your dream right on time. Okay. So what's so special, okay, about time or about now, right? So the earlier time which has passed, we can only get our experience from it. The future that is coming, we can only prepare for it. When do we prepare for it? We prepare for it today. Okay, that's why it's called the golden time, where if you start working now, you will be, having an upper hand in the future. Okay, so very much important to focus on this aspect of it, that is this golden time that is present. It will never come back. Maybe later on you are either left with results or with regrets, right? Hence start focusing on this perspective, that is you work on the right things wherever you want to be, plan it out and work on those relevant things so that you do not have regrets in the future. So finally, all I would like to say is stay safe, stay healthy, stay invested, and thank you very much